Thanks for joining us on the John Mendola Show. We're driven by McCarthy Tire and Automotive Centers. Well, the summertime is always fun. It's always fast, and people are always looking ahead to football, and so are we. We're no different. We're getting ready as the high school football season will be upon us. Let's talk with a new head coach at Montrose. His name is Lou Cella. Well, Lou, how excited are you to be the head coach at Montrose?
John, it's an interesting situation because when I was in high school at Old Forge, we played Montrose, and Montrose was very, very good. And, I mean, they had a really great run there in the 90s. And see, the way I view Montrose is there's the kid in me that views them as a powerhouse. And, I mean, they were so good. I mean, we had beat them my sophomore year, but my junior year they beat us pretty good at our place. And my senior year we lost to them as well. So I kind of look at Montrose in maybe a different light than somebody who's been following high school football in recent times. So to me, it's an opportunity to do all the good work that Tom Licenzi did for all those years and bring it back, and then hopefully one day exceed that. And that's really the fun of all this, because of how good they were 20 years ago, even 15 years ago. And I still view them like that. So I guess the kid in me looks at it as an opportunity to kind of get that feeling back of what they were, and hopefully one day exceed.
Well, Lou, coaches come in and they say, hey, I'm going to be an offensive guy, I'm going to be a defensive guy. Hey, the only thing we're going to be disciplined, we're going to be this. Tell us about what Lou Cella is going to do at Montrose. That's going to be the theme of your coaching style there with the Meteors and what you hope to do. Obviously, you want to win some football games. What type of brand are you going to have?
Well, John, I was fortunate, to get a doctorate in sports performance. I'm still finishing the Side D part of my doctorate right now, but I look at things differently because of I was blessed to get all this education in sports performance and sports psychology. So, really what I learned being in a doctorate program, I went to the University of the Rockies, which is based out of Colorado Springs. So I got to visit the Olympic Committee and kind of see how Olympic athletes get trained. And really the mission is just to create a high-performance environment through sports science and mental conditioning, process-based practices. Basically what that all is sports science is really what the Philadelphia Eagles are doing right now with shot holes and with Chip Kelly. And basically what sports science is really analyzing biomechanics to improve performance. And that's a lot of what the Eagles do right now. And I coached at Lackawanna College for 8 years, and one of our former assistant coaches, my first 2 years there, is now the offensive analyst with the Eagles. And he works very closely with Chip and Pat Shermer, the offensive coordinator. And he's been able to really educate me on what they do from a sports science perspective. But also mental conditioning, which is a big deal. Nick Saban at the University of Alabama is huge into mental conditioning. And that's basically training the mind to accurately respond to positive stimuli. So basically, it's trying to find concrete ways, to train athletes implicitly to accurately respond in terms of how they block, how they tackle, how they secure the football, and how they run, and how they move. So I definitely have a different perspective because I'm fortunate to go for my doctorate and get in sports performance. And really you'll understand after learning all this that it's a process. Educating athletes is a process, and the more concrete you can make it, the better they can get at what they do faster. So that's the brand I wanted, that I seek to make it, is a high-performance environment for sports science and mental conditioning.
Lou Cella, the new coach at Montrose area, joining us here on the John Mendola Show, driven by McCarthy Tire and Automotive Centers, as we are talking Meteor football. Lou, how many opportunities have you had to get up to talk with the guys there at Montrose and try to get some workouts in, for the spring and some weight room workouts as well and meet with the team?
Well, we started. I was hired on March 11th, and we started as soon as we could after that. My first hire was I brought in a CSCS certified strength conditioning coach who has a degree in exercise science from the University of Scranton, but he's NSCA certified. He's got certifications that he could be a Division I strength conditioning coach, and his name is Ben Camille. And I literally just got done talking to him before our interview, John. And he also cleans my pool, so that's something he does on the side as well, other than training athletes. But he's phenomenal. He's so well educated. It's kind of a neat mix because I kind of take the mental approach, the between the ears approach, and he really works on the physiological approach. So we've been working out, a couple times a week with the athletes. He runs the show. I delegated to him, and he's an amazing guy. He's just an amazing individual. He played football at Advocate Heights. He played semi-pro ball for a little bit. He actually was a college swim coach for a little while. I believe it was 5 years. So he's so well educated, and he's made a difference. And our players seem to really like him. And he'll run the show for as long as he wants to. He's become a dear friend of mine, and I know he'll certainly help evolve the process with our players.
Well, Lou, I know you had talked about the triple option as something that has happened in the past with some of your background in coaching. Is that something that we'll see at Montrose, or is that a surprise and yet to be determined?
Oh no! I mean, you'll when you see us play, it'll be very concrete. We'll look very comparable to the Navy, Army, and Georgia Tech. That's what I do for a living. I own a business called the Triple Option Football Academy. I run triple option football camps and teaching academies. I have clients all over the country. I've worked in 43 states. And basically, I'm going to West Virginia on Monday, and I'm going to Seattle on Thursday. I keep pretty active with it. As I told you earlier, John, I'm a retired teacher from Wyoming area, and 3 years ago I was doing better financially running football camps and teaching, and I started my doctorate and wanted to go for it full time. So I really made a conscious effort to improve basically the craft of teaching it, the triple option, but also in addition to that, really to create a sound business model. And I've been beyond glad to be able to do all that. It's it's definitely what we will do. We will look to run it as well as anybody in the United States. I think I owe it to everybody involved in the process that we are the best triple option football program in the United States. We've got to certainly work to get to that level in terms of how concretely we move, our ball security, our decisiveness, and our conviction doing all of that. And even though I spent the majority of my coaching career around the coach at Lackawanna College, I spent the majority of the time coaching defense. And I learned a lot from Coach Stewart at Lackawanna. He's probably the biggest influence I've had in my life next to my father. And really, even regarding that, it's we'll certainly look to be advanced with what we do offensively, John. There's certainly no question about that.
Lou Cella joining me here on the John Mendola Show, driven by McCarthy Tire and Automotive Centers. We talk Montrose area Meteors football. He is the new head coach. Lou, the next question will be, how about the competition and, how ingrained are you right now with the high school football and the schedule that Montrose plays? How well do you know your opponents at this point and been able to, whether you've seen any film or kind of still been in touch with the high school football game, as you're traveling the country the last couple of years?
It's funny. The thing about high school, the thing about coaching in general is when you're in, it's like you never left, and when you're out, it's like you were never in. That's the thing about coaching. When you're doing high school coaching, right now it feels like I never left it. But all those years, those 8 years I was out, it was like I was never in. It's like being invisible. And, it's funny because I have all these friends of mine who coach high school, and when I was coaching at Lackawanna, they didn't know what to talk. It was funny because they didn't know what to talk to me about because there's no relatability. And it's kind of funny now because I've reconnected with people like I talked to Steve Jervis the other day, and Rod Azar at Mechanic, and Jeff Wazilchak at Lakeland, and I talk to Larry Gabriel at Carbondale all the time. It's kind of neat because when you're not involved in the high school coaching world, there's really it's kind of we don't know what to talk about with each other. Now we obviously have tremendous relatability, but I've looked at film online and I've watched teams, and see the thing about the triple option and this comes right from Paul Johnson at Georgia Tech, who's pretty much the godfather of the triple option offense. He and Tim Stowers invented it. The way we run it now, they invented it 30 years ago in Statesboro, Georgia. They don't really worry about what their opponents are doing. It's an internal conflict. So the real mastery, John, is to get the players we have good at mastering the craft. And all the biomechanics of blocking and ball security and running and movement. And really, our opponents are just there basically as the measuring stick on that day. The ultimate goal here, John, is to be good at what we do because you can't control the competition. Let's take, for example, let's take a high school football team. Coughlin High School. You know a little bit about Coughlin High School. Coughlin High School, they could do all the right things. Coach Cincy could have them do all the right things on offense, and Coach Michael can have them do all the right things on defense. They could be so sound with the football and so sound with what they know. But if they have to go out and play the Cincinnati Bengals and the Denver Broncos every week, they go 0-10. So it's an internal conflict to see how good you can get, and that's really the focus. So regardless if we're playing Dunmore or Western Wayne or Riverside, which being an old sports kid, I still cringe saying the word Riverside. It'll never leave me. Just that's how Riverside is. But yeah, it's definitely. The goal is to get good at what we do, to be great with the ball, to run hard, and to get 1% to 2% better every practice in terms of how we perform. So,
well, Lou, interesting perspective on how you view things, and again, some similar philosophy that I've had in sports. It's you could control what you could do and focus on what you could do as a team. Not necessarily focus on what the other team. I think a lot of the percentage that most coaches do in various sports, especially footballs, breaking down film of the other team and maybe not that self-evaluation of their own team, watching their own film percentages and things like that. So, again, everybody's got their perspectives. Interesting to hear yours. And, it's going to be interesting to see what other teams are able to do against Montrose and, what you guys are going to do against these other teams that have not seen the triple option. Well, Lou, we appreciate your time. We look to check back with you as August comes around in September and see how you're doing there at Montrose. Congratulations again on the job, and we wish you well over the summer with your young men there to work hard.
Oh, God bless, John. And hey, it's funny, McCarthy Tire is the sponsor. I worked for McCarthy Tire in 1996. Washing cars at the Kingston location, so I know a little something about Mr. McCarthy and the business. So it's kind of neat that they're your sponsor. But keep doing the great work that you do. It's really been something over the last 3 decades what you've been able to do.
Thank you very much, Lou. I appreciate that. And, of course, Lou Cella ready to go at Montrose as the Meteors will hit the football field and the end of August comes around. It's the John Mendola Show. We are driven by McCarthy Tire and Automotive Centers.